doing to make sure that drivers get to their destination safely. Reporting in Sherwood, Jamal James, Action 2 News.
Brad Schimel is sworn in today as the interim U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Wisconsin. The former Wisconsin Attorney General and Supreme Court candidate most recently served as a judge in Waukesha County Circuit Court. His term ended in August. He is the third person to hold the seat this year. President Trump removed Gregory Honstad shortly after taking office. Richard Frayling then took over as acting U.S. Attorney. Schimel telling our partner station that he's deeply honored to be appointed, adding that he is optimistic this will become a long-term opportunity and will work hard to support the team and do great things for the people they serve. Typically, these positions are appointed after a state's U.S. senators recommend a list of candidates, and then the president nominates one to the U.S. Senate for approval. Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin saying in a statement today, quote, "Before today, presidents of both parties have respected that process, but today President Trump blew it up and is ignoring Wisconsin of all stripes." Brad Schimel was soundly rejected twice by Wisconsinites because they knew he would play politics with the law, not deliver justice fairly for everyone, and he has no business being a top prosecutor in Wisconsin, end quote. Action 2 News also reached out to Senator Ron Johnson and Brad Schimel directly for comment. We have not yet heard back.